Chat, today is October 20th, 2024. We are currently a week, sorry, we're less than a week into Season 13. And if you haven't popped in, you probably know that Season 13 isn't my favorite season so far. I'm not ready to give like a full review of the season. But then I remembered seeing a few days ago, someone recommended to me, and I had a few people come in and tell me in chat that Frogger did a Season 12 review. And the reason why they said it is because like the title and thumbnail was like, I'm wasting my life playing Overwatch or something, which is f***ing hilarious. But it made me think that I feel like I should do a little review of Season 12. Because I think Season 12 was one of the best seasons of Overwatch in a long time. And looking at Season 13, so far, I'm pretty disappointed from like what we had to like where we are now. So I wanted to go through everything, and I've already made a list, and if I forget anything, I apologize. I did my best to pull everything together from Season 12. There is actually a lot from Season 12. It was a pretty season chocked full of a lot of things, and I might even bounce around on my own list. But I figured I'd at least start with Juno. Juno, we got a play test early. We got to see early at BlizzCon. Obviously, you're seeing I'm wearing the new Uraraka skin, which is great skin, by the way, for Season 13, but poor venture, which we'll talk about in a minute. Juno, though, I would say had a little bit less hype going into a new season just because people got to play her early. I think that's a consequence of having the early playtests. However, though, I don't think the playtests are bad. I think the playtests are actually fantastic. And what the playtests did is they showed us a version of Juno that I thought was really, really fun in Season 11 and had the community divided. And to which they thought, some people thought she was really weak, some people thought she was really strong. And reading into Season 12, Juno got released and felt pretty bad. She felt clunky. They had a much slower fire rate. They gave her more healing and more damage. And so instead of this fast fire rate that we know today, it was like, boom, boom, boom. And it just, like, it felt awful. And so my immediate feedback for it was like, hey guys, like, we need to fix that. Like, that is just ass. And I think Juno is probably the most well-designed hero that they've launched in Overwatch 2, period. I cannot give them enough credit for how great this hero is. I don't even feel like I get... Like, if I die to a Juno, I don't feel like I got cheesed. If a Juno is pumping out lots of healing, I don't feel like I'm cheesing anyone. Yes, are they probably the strongest support in the game right now? Yes. Are they also maybe a little bit overtuned in the ultimate department? Yes. But Juno also just received nerfs to her gun. I think it was the wrong nerfs. I think her ultimate was the big thing. Because, like, her normal healing isn't even that crazy. It's the ultimate was where it goes bananas. But regardless, though, Juno, genuinely one of the best heroes ever released. And I'm going to be bouncing around a little bit, but it took them a little bit to actually understand the community feedback and to implement the community feedback. A little longer than I think that it should have, considering we got a play test beforehand, and considering the reaction was almost instant that she needed a fire rate buff. And so eventually they did end up actually taking away a little bit of her healing and damage on per bullet, and giving her the fire rate buff she needed. And then eventually also buffed her ult, and she went from what a lot of people were considering like a C tier, not very good hero, just because she was easily diveable and easy to kill, to the best support in the game. But I know a lot of people don't only care about new heroes and balance and stuff like that, so I'm gonna take a crack at something that I normally don't talk about too much as a more competitive player, and it's actually gonna be the skins. And I want to start off with the Egyptian Myth Battle Pass. I thought it was pretty good. I thought Egyptian mythology was a good theme to go with. I think it would have made a little more sense if it went with the season Venture came out. Maybe I'm crazy for that, but I feel like it would have maybe, you know, been a little bit better. Although, if I'm completely honest in this exact moment, I actually don't remember any of the Battle Pass skins off the top of my head from the Egyptian mythology. The only one I remember is the Reaper skin, and it's because the Reaper skin was so damn good. Chat, I need help. Can you guys give me one example from the Battle Pass? Doom! Oh, I remember the Doom one was bugged. It was this one, right? Yeah, it was this one. Anyways, though, like I said, though, like, I like the skins in this game. I think that the art in this game is some of the best in the industry, but I don't think the game is make or break if the skins aren't the best, because I play mostly for the gameplay. That being said, though, I understand that most casual players literally live and die by how good each season is based on its skins. Now, I made a statement like 6 months ago or more that I didn't like the direction Overwatch was going, saying that I think the game needs to be more than just like an ethical NFT simulator where you're just hopping on to get new skins all the time, and then that's it. A lot of people got really mad about that, and they were like, no, like the skins are really important, they're really good, like that's, like, you don't understand. But now it actually seems like the opinion is shifting that way, and a lot of people are kind of understanding that they are just pumping out skins left and right, especially for more popular heroes like your Kirikos and your Mercies and whatnot. I don't have a problem with people doing that and, like, you know, just being excited for skins. Like, I think being excited for skins is a wonderful goddamn good thing. But that can't be just all the game has, right? Like, there needs to be more behind it. And Season 12 was a good example where there was a lot of other stuff behind it, which is why I think it was so good. The Reaper Mythic, I think, was the best Mythic they've released. I know that, you know, there's argument, like, Sigma was my favorite beforehand. And, like, now that we're past, like, the shiny new, oh god, I forgot, the new collab. We're past the shiny phase where it's like, oh my god, this is awesome. You know, like, oh, there's not that much customizable or customizing of it. Like, the last version of all, like, the stuff with the ring on it is, like, the best version. The other ones are just building up the armor. They're not, like, different versions. I think that's actually very, very good and credible critique. I have nothing to say back to it. I think you're correct. I personally just love the way it looks. I think some people like to have different customizable options where they completely change the way it looks, and I think that's totally valid too. I just think that they cooked with this version, and there's no reason to use the lesser armors. Granted, again, that could be feedback from someone who's like, you know, it's just building up to one armor set. It's not like a bunch of different armor sets that you can mix and match. I think that's totally fine. Personally, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. That being said, though, I made a point, or I was talking to chat about making this list, right? Like, I wanted to make this list because I didn't want to forget anything. I wanted to make sure I quadruple checked to make sure I covered everything about Season 12, you know, just so I don't miss anything, right? And something that someone brought up was, like, skin quality. And I was like, well, skin quality is subjective, right? And I want to pair this up with the recolors thing, where I feel like a lot of people have started to notice that there's a large increase in recolors. And I think there's no problem with recolors. But there should be, like, an ethical way to do recolors, right? Like, whether it's, if you already own the skin and you want the recolor, you should be able to upgrade for, like, a cheaper price. Or their recolors should be something that are done to supplement a season. It shouldn't feel like you're losing out on more quality skins just to pump out more recolors. Because from what I was told years ago, a long time ago, from someone who worked on the Overwatch team, and they're not there anymore, but they told me that a new skin in development takes about a year to make. From concept to design to actually coming up with the artwork, to then getting approved, to eventually actually implementing and making it into the game, actually coding it in, actually designing it, and then QA testing it to make sure it doesn't break. It takes a very, very long time to come through the whole process, because when you work for a mega corporation like Blizzard, Activision Blizzard, Microsoft at this point, there's a bajillion people you have to get shit checked by, right? But with a recolor, most of the hard work's already done. Design phase is done. Now it's just color. In-game, we already know how it handles. Like, you already know how the animations are. You already know how it's going to behave versus other characters, any wonky interactions. All of that stuff should work the same. It's just a different color. So it should be a fraction of how long it takes to make from a skin from scratch. I have no problem with Overwatch making recolors, but, like, I feel like there could be ways that they could do it more ethically, and there are ways that they could almost, like, in good faith give players more from it, right? Because, like, there's always that problem with Overwatch where, let's say you sign in and, like, they're doing their free skins event, right? Like, where you get in and, like, oh, play this random event, and, you know, there's a bunch of skins that are tied to the event. I'll give you an example, One Punch Man, where it's like, you know, you have to buy all the One Punch Man skins, but if you play the game, you'll get the Moomin Rider one for free, right? But if you don't play Soldier, that means nothing to you. There's always that issue. You can't ever beat that. But why not something like Twitch drops? I think the Twitch drops was a great example this past season of fantastic skins. They did the Barista Sojourn. Barista Sojourn was the highest Overwatch viewership I have personally seen since Season 2. It was the most excited I've seen people be for Overwatch in a long time because they enjoyed the season and also they showed up for this skin. So now you could say, obviously, oh, but they're just showing up for the skin. Absolutely. That always is going to happen with drops with any game, period. But there was a lot of people that were also very positive and looking like we're actually having a good time interacting with the new season. And I can always gauge basically how well a season's doing, similarly to like viewership. I know they're not one-to-one, but it's almost like having a little bit of a pulse on the community. It's like it doesn't tell you everything. Like a person's pulse doesn't tell you everything, right? But like if their pulse is really slow, like, oh shit, like why is their pulse really slow? Or their pulse is really fast and it's really hard. It's like, wait, what's causing that, right? There's like signs that can be picked up on from it. And it felt like the community felt happy. And I want to touch more on that in a bit, but it was the first time in a while where it kind of felt chill. Like nobody was arguing. Everyone felt like, you know, this is pretty good. Things are pretty good right now. Granted, I don't know how to fully fix the problems of just constantly pumping out recolors, but you know, I think that some characters that are not the big heavy hitters, your Widowmakers, your Reinhardts, your Mercies, your Kirikos, should be getting something, right? Right? Like, I know it doesn't make you as much money. I know it doesn't. So why don't you just do one really good Ramatra skin and then recolor it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's ways that you could kind of give them more stuff while also pumping into your recolors, right? Like take the year, work really hard on making a sick Ramatra skin, and then recolor it 4 months later. And then you're giving those players more skins, right? Which is what they want. And then if you find a way to make it more ethical and make it so that, like, let's say you buy the legendary Ramatra skin. It's so cool, right? And if you buy the legendary Ramatra skin, you can upgrade it to a different recolor for $5. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think players would revolt against you. I think it would be a reward for players that had invested and paid for a skin beforehand, but also get to have the new one at a cheaper price. Now you could say, well, then new players might not buy that reskin or recolor because they didn't buy the first one. Okay, then they won't buy it. They probably weren't gonna buy it anyways, right? I feel like you can reward those players and also give skins to characters that maybe aren't as popular and don't make them as much money, while also doing your recolors. You know? It's a good way to do your recolors that don't take as much work and are easier to get out, while also appeasing this base that has very clearly been neglected. We all know that Zarya skins don't sell well as Mercy skins. Like, it is it's a foregone conclusion. We all know that Zarya doesn't get any cool ass skins these days. Who else hasn't gotten any cool skins? Ram as well. Poor Ram got took out back this season. I don't want to talk about Ram too much. It's kind of depressing. Venture, oh god, absolutely not. Let's not go near that. Lucio, maybe Lucio's a good example. I feel like Lucio hasn't gotten any crazy good skins. Cassidy was definitely getting good skins towards the start of Overwatch 2, but in the back half, you'd probably be right. I don't think recolors is a bad thing. I think there's a way you could do it better though. Speaking of recolors and new cosmetics, there was also mythics that came out this season. I think mythic weapon skins are great. I think that they're a cool way to change the actual POV of what you see, because typically Overwatch, if you buy a really cool skin, you never see your damn skin. You only see your hammer, you only see your gun, right? Ultimate weapon skins allow you a way to have something different and have something cool, right? The Ana skin one is nice because, like, as you do damage and as you get kills, it builds up and gets more of a glow around it, and it's really, really cool. However, there is a major problem I have with this, and it's especially apparent with the Ryan skin, not as apparent with the Ana skin. Is this flip is called a flourish, and it's only behind the highest level. So you have to buy the levels of the mythic skin, just like the mythic weapon skin, just like the normal skins. This to me is what the original weapon inspects was supposed to be. I know we argued to the moon. It's like, what is a flourish? And, like, you know, everyone pushed their glasses up and talked about it. The Ana one I'll actually give you. The Ana one is actually a flourish, right? But before we fight each other to the death, about whether that's a flourish or a weapon inspect, I want to offer you this. Weapon inspects were something that was teased with Overwatch 2's release back in 2021, and it never came to be. This is the closest we're gonna get, it seems. And it's behind a paywall. You're obviously gonna piss people off, and you're gonna rub them the wrong way. And the simplest way to fix that is just to have weapon inspects for all the characters. It doesn't even have to be anything super insane. And now if I go AFK for a sec, Ryan does like a weapon inspect of the hammer. There it is. How simple is that to just be on a button? You can do it. You absolutely can do it. I believe in you. Like, I genuinely believe in you. You're like, they're not incompetent. You're not incompetent. Like, everyone who works on this game is geniuses. Like, they legitimately love this game. I never met a single person on this game that didn't, at least in my own personal opinion, didn't feel like they were like extremely passionate and wanted the best, whether you agreed on their opinion or not. And disagreeing on opinions is okay. I think you could just go miles of good faith if that was something that was universal across every character. And you could still have your flourishes too. I think that you could have both, best of both worlds. I don't think mythic weapons is a bad thing. I think mythic weapons is a good thing, but they've already fallen into the trap of popular characters getting the mythics. Ryan got the first one, Ana got the second one, and this season is gonna be Soldier. Soldier already has weapon skins from when they started adding weapon skins into the game. So, out of the characters that have weapon skins, there is Ryan, there is Reaper, there is Junkrat, Soldier, Mercy. Out of the 5 characters that have weapon skins in the game, paid weapon skins that are different than the normal ones, 2 of the 3 mythics are for characters that have weapon skins. What the f? You know what I mean? Like, there's a whole cast of characters here. Of the 38 characters, whatever the f it is these days, 5 have weapon skins, and 2 of the 3 new mythics are for the 5 characters that have mythic weapon skins, or had weapon skins already. Come on! You know what I mean? Like, I can't help but be like, guys. The only thing I can think of is like some of those characters are more simple. Soldier, very simple design, simple gun. Ryan, it's a hammer. It's very simple, you know? Maybe something more complex like Ramacha or Mauga's big ass guns might be a little bit more difficult, right? I'm at least willing to give a little bit of leeway here. I want to touch on it really quick again. The drops, really great last season. The only thing I would like to see is instead of the end of season battle pass skips, I would love to see with competitive drives, which I'll talk about competitive drives in a minute. I would love for there to be competitive point reward drops. So like that weekend where there's competitive drives where everyone's being like encouraged to play ranked and everyone's hopping into matches, instead of giving away battle pass skips, what if it was competitive points? And so if you watched a Twitch stream for say 20 hours over the span of the weekend. Now I know 20 hours is a lot, but hear me out. 20 hours over the span of a weekend, you would get 3,000 additional competitive points. That way, if you won all your Overwatch matches, you would get, and got all the way through the drive, you would get 3,000. And if you watched Twitch streams for the entire 20 hours, you would get another 3,000, which would give you 2 Jade/Gold skins, rewards, competitive rewards. If you maxed out both, the average player will not max out both. 20 hours a weekend is kind of insane. You haven't let me finish my thought. The average player will not win the entire competitive drive. The average player will not watch 20 hours of Twitch stream to get all 3,000. What will happen is they might get to level 1 or 2, where they get 500 or 1,500 total. 1,000 and then another 500. But then if they also watch Twitch streams and they get incremental rewards for the 20 hours, they're not going to make it probably to 20 hours. But what if they made it to 10? And 10 hours would give them 1,500. So you have 1,500 on one end and 1,500 on another end. And boom. That means they still would get 3,000, which would be enough for their 1 skin. And you could go with this 2 ways. You could be on the Twitch end. If someone couldn't play for the weekend, let's say someone couldn't play for the weekend, they could leave their PC on, whether they were at work or if they had school or whatever it was, and so they couldn't play for the weekend, they would be supporting streamers and tuning in to their community and supporting their community, and they wouldn't miss out. They would get their 3,000. They would get their 3,000 by just watching streams. Or the opposite, which wouldn't change anything because it's already happening. The 3,000 from in-game, you playing through the entire competitive drive, don't watch a single stream, congrats, you'll still get your 3,000. By doing both at the same time, for anyone who's really, really committed inside the game, whether they don't watch streams the entire way, but they can't finish their drive, they'll still get the same reward. It's a good enough outcome where the average player will always get at least one new Jade/Gold weapon skin out of the event. I think it makes perfect sense because even at the highest end, if you are an absolute giga grinder at the highest level and you want to min-max, you'll get 2. And you'll be rewarded for that. You'll be rewarded for supporting the community and actually playing the game. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think they're a little bit afraid to do super outgoing, almost like too generous rewards sometimes. And season 12 was some of their most generous rewards yet, and it was their hardest hitting season in a long time. Season 9 is the only other example I would say because it was a big hype up from BlizzCon, but before season 9, taking season 9 out of the equation, I bet season 12 was the most hyped season since season 2. It would be a good way to support your community, support your streamers, support your people that maybe can't play the game for the weekend, while also supporting your players who are actually grinding, and also supporting people who do both. I feel like I should talk about competitive drives really quick, just because I'm already on it. I was gonna do it later, but I'll do it now. Competitive drives was awesome. It was super cool. If you see in the bottom left, I completed it. That's why I have the little Roman numeral 1 next to my name with like all the little squares flying out. The only thing is, I thought it looked a little goofy on the scoreboard. I still kind of think that, but I've gotten used to it now, so I don't actually mind it that much. I just thought it looked a little goofy. I wonder if people's opinions have changed as you've gotten used to it. I just think it could look cleaner. I don't know. I'm not an artist though. I hate giving bad feedback like that, but like it doesn't look that great to me on the scoreboard. I don't know what's going on. Some people said the font looks different or something. The font ends up being different, or it's like slightly off-centered or something stupid. But yeah, overall though, getting people to play ranked, great thing. Honestly, a lot of people are gonna complain though, like, oh, I had really bad teammates. Well, congrats. Like, that's what Overwatch is sometimes. And the difference is like a lot of people play quick play only and they never touch ranked, but they still tout that, oh, I'm plat. Brother, you haven't been plat for 3.5 years. You hop in comp now, you're gonna be silver. You know what I mean? So like nothing's wrong with that either, but like it was almost like a little reality check for a lot of players, which is not a bad thing either. But like it got people to play ranked, and that's at the end of the day a big dub from me. Do we talk about balance next? I already talked about it before. Juno balance at the beginning specifically wasn't great. They did eventually fix it. Took a little longer than I think it should have, to be honest with you, considering there was an entire playtest beforehand, considering there was tons of feedback right when it came out. That being said though, I'm not gonna knock them for it because they did actually fix it in the end. Other than that, I think start of season 12 was some of the best patches, some of the best balance we've had in a while. And that was coming off of a giant tank patch that most of us, myself included, thought was gonna be game breaking. Now, did D.Va run rampant? Absolutely. But here's the thing about Overwatch. There'll always end up being a tank that's sort of the strongest, or it'll be counter swap meta. You have to pick one of the two. It is either going to be a counter swap meta, or there'll be one tank that's kind of the dominant. I personally am of the school of thought that having one dominant tank is not a bad thing, as long as it's only for a short period of time. This is why I've always advocated for patches every 2 weeks as opposed for every 4 weeks, even if they're small. Specifically, especially for tanks. Or supports, because sometimes supports dictate tank meta. That being said, I still am very strongly against any Orisa buffs, Mauga buffs, or Hog buffs, because all of them have major problems. I think Mauga needs a rework. He's legitimately just horrendous. Orisa is just oppressive to play against and miserable, and I would literally rather eat glass than play against Orisa anymore, which is why you don't see me playing much the start of this season, because Orisa's still meta. We didn't get any changes this season, by the way, but they're talking season 12. Let's stay season 12. I have no problem with D.Va being strong for a few weeks. I have no problem with that. I know it gets annoying. I know it's a little ridiculous. The only time it was really bad was with Juno Speedring. When Juno Speedring was broken and D.Va could go Mach 10 into your backline, delete someone and fly back out, that was a problem. Once that was fixed, it was much better. The patch could have been great, if they hadn't micro-buffed Orisa, armor gets changed at mid-season, and everything would have been hunky-dory. I love when I love when Winston's meta. I love when Queen's meta. I love when Ryan's meta. I like Sigma meta. Zarya meta is a little annoying, I'm not gonna lie. Ramattra meta, I think, is also fine, but like, I want you to seriously sit there and think to yourself for a second. I'm not saying just me, I'm saying the overall community. When has the community ever had a tank be hard meta and not bitched about it? You can't tell me there hasn't been one. Queen? No, no, no. And the reason I say Queen is because there was actually a hard Queen meta somewhere around season 5? Was it 5 or 7? It was either 5 or 7. There was a hard Queen meta for about a month. And people were screaming that Queen was so OP and that it sucks having 1 giga busted tank and they need to stop doing that. Does everybody remember when Queen was super buffed and everyone was bitching? I remember. Everyone seems to forget. Everyone seems to forget when a character gets super buffed and becomes strong for a little bit, that everyone will complain about the character. That's how the game works. Some characters are more healthy when they're strong than others, though. Ones that aren't healthy are Orisa, Malga, and Hog to me. And I have my reasonings for it, and I will step up to the plate and I will tell you why all day long, but that's not what I'm here for. Regardless, though, I just want to say, if you sit there and you go, well, season 12 sucked because Diva's strong. Every season, one tank is strong, or all the tanks suck and they play counter swap meta. Those are your 2 options. Pick one. Other than that, though, I think that season 12 meta, or season 12 balance at the start of the season was pretty good. Obviously, Diva was the #1, but other than that, other stuff was playable. I was actually playing a ton of Rhine. If you go back and look at those, at my ranked videos that I was posting around that time, you could see I was playing a lot of Rhine. Rhine was low-key cooking. Yes, Diva and your absolute top 50 games was dominating. Most players are not in top 50. You are not in top 50. You are in plat. You can play Rhine. You can play Ram. You can play Orisa, and you will win. That was a great time where, like, at the highest level, yes, Diva's dominating, but everything else I thought felt pretty good. Now, at mid-season, that kind of changed because they changed armor, they micro-buffed Orisa, they nerfed Diva. There was a lot of things that changed. And I remember I didn't make a tier list at first because, like, oh man, I don't want people to know about Orisa. And then OWCS came back and Korea started being broadcast, and all of a sudden everybody's on Orisa in Korea. And you know Orisa's strong if they're playing Orisa in Korea because they play dive no matter what. So now it's just Orisa everywhere. Point is, though, mid-season, L. Beginning of season, things were actually pretty good. It was actually pretty good. I want to go back. I think that this season 13 should reset to 12 beginning, but that's just me. Regardless, though, hell, I think even my tier list at the beginning of season 12 was like everything was pretty high. Like I didn't rate anything too low except I think Lifeweaver. I think Lifeweaver is the only one I put pretty low. Moving on from balance, it was a new game mode, Clash. Clash, I have mixed feelings on. I respect the attempt. The thing that pissed me off about Clash the most is they didn't learn their lesson from the Overwatch beta and stop pushing a new game mode so hard at the beginning of a season. Like I know they know this now because I had Gavin come in my chat and like I was ranting to him and he goes, yeah, we know now. Like we learned our lesson again. And I go, I know you know. Like I'm not gonna harp on you, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna do it. Cause like a lot of times these are new people or like they weren't in power at that time or whatever it was. Like I know, dude. But like, stop making the same mistakes over and over. You know what I mean? I played 17 or 18 games of Clash my first day of the season. I was literally going like this. I was literally just banging my head off my keyboard at some point. I was like, please stop. That being said, though, they made some adjustments to season 13 to try to make the game more balanced. It's not. I'm not gonna fully hop on the bandwagon that some people have hopped on where they say, delete Clash, it's shit, you gotta go back to the drawing board. Here's my actual take for how game modes should be. I don't think there should be any more Overwatch game modes. I think we've added too many already. I think Overwatch at its core was Escort, Hybrid, and Control. When they added Push to supplement it from 2CP, that's fine. Flashpoint pushed it a little too far. Clash has taken it over the edge. And I want to explain to you my reasoning. Whether you like Hybrid, Control, whatever, I don't give a f***. I want you to listen for 2 seconds. The reason why I think it's too much is because in this current format that we have for content, A new map will be released every other season. An Overwatch season is 9 weeks, or about 2 months. So every 2 months is one season, which means one new map every 4 months. There's 12 months in a year. That means there will be 3 new maps every year, not counting anything that gets slowed down for like map reworks. For example, this season there was no new map because there was a bunch of map reworks, right? Which is fine. I think that's fine. When there are 6 game modes, Control, Hybrid, Escort, Push, Flashpoint, and Clash, that means if they evenly distribute a map for each game type every cycle, meaning once every 4 months, it will take 2 years for a game mode to get another map. So like, let's just say you start with Control, right? Say you start with Control, 4 months, Control. 4 months later, Escort. 4 months later, Hybrid. 4 months later, Push. 4 months later, Clash. 4 months later, Flashpoint. Then another 4 months to come back around to Control. That would be 2 years. And we all know Overwatch isn't fair and gives everything to one game or into multiple game types, and they always mix it up. What Overwatch does is it picks and chooses. For example, I think our most recent maps are Runasapi, which is a push map, and oh my god, the Hawaiian, Mauga map, Samoa. Thank you. What's the chances we get another Control map soon? Thoughts? I mean, I'm just saying, like, historically, Control maps are some of the more added maps, or Push because it's a newer game mode, right? So it's like, are some of these game modes just gonna get tossed to the wayside while you wait for more maps because they're not as popular or whatever? Like, it's too much. We've gone too far. We've gone too far. I would rather less game modes and more maps for those game modes than more game modes and less maps for everything overall. That's why I think it's gone too far. I think it's been pushed too far over the edge. Whether you like the game modes or not is not what I want to talk about. I'm talking about now that we've added all of these game modes, everything's stretched so thin. And let's not pretend that the Overwatch team is massive and has tons of people and they're all working on tons of content at the same time. We've all seen the layoffs. We all know the truth. Sorry, I've honestly yapped a little too long today, so I'm gonna wrap this up kind of quick. Overwatch anniversary event, very disappointing. I did not like the anniversary event. Overwatch 1 anniversary event was the big event of the year, other than Halloween maybe, and maybe Christmas. The Christmas event and the Halloween event, I think, were probably the big ones. And then Chinese New Year kind of popped off towards the back half. But like, the reason why Anniversary was so good back in the day, one, they would always release like some PvE mode, which is fine, right? Like the Archives PvE. But the other one was the skins. And there was Anniversary skins, in which there was like dance emotes for every character, right? There would be dance emotes, but also more importantly, you could buy old skins that you had missed. So if there was a Halloween skin that came out last year and you had missed it, you could buy it at Anniversary. Anniversary would basically open up the shop to all, like, the whole year and be like, if you missed this one, you can go get this, boom, 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 and you can pick and choose. That's gone. There is no getting old stuff. There is no cool big event where, like, the shop opens up and it's everything. And now you could even talk about the loot boxes back then. The loot boxes back then, actually, the Anniversary loot boxes were a mix of everything, right? So, like, if you were just farming loot boxes, not even coins, your loot boxes could have a random Halloween skin you missed. It was awesome. It was great. It was cool because it was like a catch-up event for anyone who missed stuff throughout the year. And I think that's really a great celebration for a game when it hits like a year old or whatever. It's like, we've been around a whole year, we've done a lot this whole year, but if you miss something because whatever, here's a chance to earn it now. Like, that's so cool. That was gone. And even the events was just like, it was April Fools, the creator mode, and then like I think like they brought back like Mischief and Magic, which is quite possibly one of my favorite modes, but yeah, it doesn't hit the same when it's tied with all that. I don't know why. I just ended up not playing it. I think there should be more of the Mischief and Magic hide and seek prop hunt maps. I think that's one of the best fun game modes they've ever made in the history of Overwatch, genuinely. But regardless, though, Anniversary was a big letdown to me. WoW Collab was really cool. I watched a video about Overwatch from a WoW player's perspective, and they didn't really like, it seems, the WoW event. I'm not a WoW player, though. I thought the skins were really cool. I thought, like, the emotes were top tier, like the quest givers. We were going around giving quests in, like, quick play games. Had a great time. It was an awesome time. But the person I watched from WoW actually made up a very good point, is that there's apparently some new WoW event that's going on, where they have like a new antagonist, like a new bad guy, and they were like not obviously featured at all in the Overwatch event. But last year during Diablo, the Halloween event, there was the Lilith Moira skin, right? And the Lilith Moira skin hit hard because Diablo 4 had just came out and it was like, oh my god, it's Lilith, oh, and it was like a big crossover thing. And the Overwatch one didn't have that at all with World of Warcraft. Perspective I didn't even think of, know. I think that could have been a great idea, genuinely, but I don't play WoW, so I didn't even know that existed, which is always why it's a good idea to try to hear perspective outside of your own. Anyways though, WoW collab, I thought was great. Then there was the Xbox Game Pass collab, linkage. What do you call it? Where you get 6 free skins and you got some prisms just for connecting your battle pass or your Xbox Game Pass to Overwatch, bridging that Microsoft gap. And W, nice job. Good. That's cool. That's awesome. Already talked about committed drives. Oh, avoid list rework. The avoid list rework finally came out, where you can avoid up to 15 players and you can have 3 pinned. I have legitimately not used it at all. I have actually not like avoided anybody like at all in a long time. But cool feature. The pinned is nice because if you have someone that like targets you or harasses you in games, or like you really just don't want some unsavory individual, you'll never get them on your team. You've had someone pinned for 2 months now. Yeah, great example. You're like this one particular dumbass was so dumbass that I literally would rather like fall off the map IRL than ever play with this guy ever again. You know what I mean? Like they were miserable, they sucked at the game, they were flaming, they were saying like slurs, like whatever it is. I don't care, I never want to see that guy again. You now have the power in your hand. W, great change. One of the best changes Overwatch has done is giving players that control. Because when you play other games, sometimes you realize some of those great features Overwatch has, like avoid feature, other games don't have, and you have to deal with the same multiple games in a row. Man, that sucks, doesn't it? So, great change. Love that they did that. Overwatch League Shop is being discontinued in 2025, and you can only buy tokens up till 2024 in December. That being said, they also opened up the vault, so you could buy old Overwatch League skins. They didn't get all of them, though. Apparently, Overwatch 1 Contenders wasn't in there, and there's like some others that were potentially missing, but cool that they opened up the Overwatch League vault. Let players get in there and actually get some of the old skins that they might have missed from back in the day before all the Overwatch League stuff is expunged, because they want to forget about that era as quickly as possible. You know, nothing crazy though. And lastly, Mystery Heroes Roll Queue, which was a very late addition to this list. Mystery Heroes Roll Queue, played a few games of it, seemed cool. A little bit counterintuitive of what Mystery Heroes is, because like, you know, you queue up and you're like, hey, you know, I just want to play whatever. I'll play Mystery Heroes. It does give you a little bit more control. Like, you're like, I'll play whatever. I just want to play whatever tanks though, right? Like, cool though. I understand where it might not be for everybody, and they probably wouldn't do it. They wouldn't have both because they wouldn't want to split the queue any more than it already is for Mystery Heroes. That being said though, I could definitely see where they end up rotating it, where it's like sometimes Mystery Heroes roll queue, sometimes without, and that might cause some friction. But I liked it. I thought it was cool. I enjoy sometimes just playing a bunch of tanks or playing a bunch of DPS, so I thought it was cool. Overall, I think Season 12 of Overwatch 2 was a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10, great season. Hell, even Tim came back. Dude, Tim came back and started playing Overwatch. I don't know how long that's gonna last. I don't feel like this season's that good. I feel like he might flee again soon. But yeah, seeing like other old creators come back to Overwatch and giving it a shot and realizing that the game has actually improved a lot over the last year. And I hope that's a point of reflection for a lot of people, is because everyone always likes to say Overwatch sucks or whatever is bad or whatever, myself included sometimes. But like where we are today is light years ahead of where we were in 2022 or 2023. Like genuinely think back. Like, has the game gotten better? And I think in a lot of ways, yes. You might not agree with all decisions, myself included. But like, is the game better and healthier overall? I would say so. And I would say that the game's even growing. I would actually go out on a limb and say the game's even growing. Not this season. I think this season's going to be a little bit of a regression season. But from everything that's publicly available, from like TikTok numbers to seeing like, you know, how much do people watch Overwatch content on TikTok or make Overwatch content on TikTok, to Twitch, to YouTube, to Steam numbers, anything that we have publicly available to us and stuff that like we can actually look at, things looked up from Season 12, genuinely. I don't know if Season 13 will continue that trend. I think it'll probably be a little more stagnant. Regardless, though, for all the shit Overwatch has and all of the shit Overwatch has done, I think Season 12 was a great season. Now, when I make my Season 13 review, I don't think I'm going to be quite as optimistic, because this season, Season 13, blows.